Hey everyone, I am joined today with Mark Rival and Keelan Fitzpatrick, two actors in the incredible film We Came to Wreck Everything. I'm very excited to talk to both of you guys today. You've got two incredible characters in this project, so thank you both so much for joining us and for talking about this film.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. I think we'll jump right into your characters. So, Mark, I'm going to start with you. Tell me a little bit about Theodore, if I'm saying that correctly, right? Theodore? It's like Theodore with an F. Tell me a little bit about him and what drew you to this role, like kind of when you read this character and you were like, I can't wait to make this come alive.
As I was reading the script, I was going, "Oh wow!" I actually read for the Clive Van Dusen role, and I guess my presence, AK saw or Alex saw it as more. I would play Theodore, so I think he asked me if I can do a Russian accent, and I said I can try. So I studied quite a bit, and growing up in a family from East Europe, Hungarians, Romanians, you hear a lot of accents as you're a kid. You always would mimic an uncle who would be Hungarian. Stop! Don't eat all the food on the table. So you hear accents, and I'm attuned to accents. So it was a little bit of investigation. The character himself is a businessman. It's all business,
Hmm.
just straight business. I wouldn't say he's an intellect, but he knows numbers. He crunches numbers. He has two sons, and they conduct business, as it were, accordingly. And some gambling and other maybe more nefarious things. But I really had a lot of fun. I mean, I love dressing up in suits. I'm going out for dinner tonight, so excuse the overdressing.
No, this is the dress code
Oh,
for the
it is
podcast.
perfect.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
then
we're just
perhaps
out. Yeah.
I'll just start to do this kind of thing. But yeah, so it was fun, and also one of my sons, Ivan Swan, who did the was one of my played one of my sons. He gave me some tips on how to pronunciate certain words. So it helped me, and I'm very grateful to for Alex for picking me for the role for sure, and Yair for telling me you should read for this role, and Brian Quintero. They were all actually instrumental in me.
I love hearing all those stories, and we're going to dive into some of those too in a moment here. But Keelan, I want to hear a little bit about Barton. Same kind of question. I mean, I want to know, like, tell me a little bit about him and the character and what it was like getting to play him and kind of what drew you into that role in that space.
Uh, Barton is a very funky character, and the way Alex wrote him really allowed myself as an actor to kind of, you know, uncover and these layers and kind of find a foundational, aspect from which I can kind of branch off into with various scenes, and it was really neat. And to again touch on what Mark said, I am like Alex's directing style is it's it's like it shocks me that this is his first feature. He just he kind of it's and I don't want to say it's effortless for him, but it almost is in that organic style of, like Mark said there, that actor's director where he's in it, he's like this and that, and he finds little bits that you kind of you play around together, and that's what made this whole experience fun. It wasn't just, okay, hit your mark and bark. And again, going back to Barton, just having that sort of traumatic darkness to him
Mm.
was neat to explore. And I like dark characters. I really do. I like when there's a lot of meat on the bone that I can sink my teeth into. And again, added in with Alex's directing style, it was a fun experience.
Mark, I'm going to jump back to you. I want to know, like, how did you get involved with the project in the first place? Like, did Alex come to you with the script? Did you kind of come out to an audition? Did you know Yair or Brian or someone else already involved in the project?
Yeah, I think it was to recollect exactly that many years ago. I think it was Yer or Brian Quintero. I think it was Yer that asked me to read for something, and I was again I wanted to get into this film. I think it was one of my first feature films, but both Brian's gotten me a lot of work, and he's Brian's a mover and a shaker in the industry.
Yeah.
He's burning right now. He's getting out there. He's everywhere. Everybody knows Brian. And Yer is an absolute, he's a brilliant producer. Everybody knows Yer. Everybody in the industry, if you touch wood, you know, yeah, oh, I know Yer. I know Brian. Um, they're they're prolific in getting great projects made, and and they know the actors, they know people. It's not that he wasn't doing me a favor necessarily, but perhaps he said, you know, maybe you could read for this character and see what happens. And I really wanted that Clive Van Dusen role, but I was thrilled to get Theodore for sure, absolutely, and to have to Ivan Swan play off Ivan Swan and Alex Strauss uh, as my sons, as it were, is amazing. But yeah, I was very fortunate that I was in the right place at the right time, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean the chemistry that you have with your sons and with the actors and performers that you get to play off of, it's really incredible. It's funny to think that there was another role that you were initially going for, especially having, seen it a few times now. It's like, well, I mean, you're so good in that role that and as Theodore that it's hard to picture what things would have looked like differently. You fully embody that character in such a fun way. Um,
Yeah.
turning to you, Keelan, yeah, obviously you have a little bit of history with Alex, it sounds like. Did you sort of come to him and find out that he had a feature going and you were like, yeah, you got to roll in there for me, or or did he come to you, or kind of how was the process like for you?
It was maybe a month before this started filming, and Alex, I guess, he knew I was an actor for a bit, and he came to me and said, "I'm doing a feature." It might have been my sister, it might have been sort of a collection of humans, but Alex said, "Are you interested? Somebody dropped out," and he's like, "Hey, I wasn't his first choice." Um, but somebody dropped out, and he's like, "Do you want to, meet up and talk about it?" So we met up at a bar here in Toronto, and originally it was for, um, I have to remember the character's name, Trevor's, the character that
Hmm.
Trevor played, and
Kirk,
sorry,
Kirk.
yes. So he said, "Hey, are you interested in this?" And I was like, "Sure, this sounds fun." Like it was an automatic, yeah. Like I'll work with you. You're a neat dude. And then probably a week later, he calls me back up and says, "Hey, somebody else dropped out and at the time it was a bigger role for Barton, and Barton's kind of this and that." And as soon as he said, he explained Barton's character, I said, "Done. Like this, yes, I'm totally in for it." So that's how that's how that came to be. And then a couple of weeks later, I crammed a bunch of words and lines into my brain, and we were on set and we were doing it.
I think what I'd love to know from you guys is like, was there anything that you sort of discovered about yourself or something about playing the character like on set that surprised you? And start with you, Mark, if there's something that comes to mind.
I can do accents. I can do accents that are relatively believable. I've heard worse. What solidified my role for me is when somebody tells me that my accent sounded good or what have you, that locked my role in for me. Because
Mm.
you're always thinking, oh, could I do this better? Am I over enunciating? So believe it or not, it was the accent because the lines are so well written. I'm going okay, and I have to read it in out aloud in the accent, and I felt confident about it after Sasha P says, that's pretty good. So whatever.
Yeah, that's always the good check mark seal of approval, right? You get a native speaker that's like, oh yeah, you sound like me. You're like, great, done.
I'm
Nailed it.
doing it all the time now, everywhere. Hello, you didn't. Yeah, I'm calling my kids with the Russian accent. Okay, Dad, pump the brakes with the Russian accent.
I think we're gonna have to do the rest of this interview in the accent. I think that's
Yes.
I don't think so. That wouldn't be very good for my kid.
No, Mark, you killed it. You honestly, your accent, and you're right. You watch movies, and people can kind of get away with it or this and that. And I'm kind of a parrot myself when it comes to with accents. But you killed it. So something I found with Barton, again, is I always knew I'm a nerd. I like Batman. I really like the Joker, and I think everyone likes Heath Ledger's portrayal. But there's just always something that's driven me to that. And I think for me, playing Barton was just I didn't know I knew I'd have fun, but I didn't know I'd have that much fun playing a dark, funky, twisted character. And I don't know if that says something about me as a human, but it was a lot of fun, and it was a great experience. It really was, especially working with handsome people like Mark.
That's perfect. Yeah, I always love asking this question to everyone that I interview on this show. What's one thing that stands out to you as something that you learned during the process of making this film? Like either about the filmmaking process or about your time as a performer or something completely unrelated. But what was sort of like that thing that you come away from this project going like, yeah, I really learned this.
The cinematography, uh, watching Dimitri and the crew, the entire crew,
Yes.
everybody was so tight. And Keelan, did you even hear Alex? Was he on set? Like he's on set behind the camera, but the crew was almost reading his mind. They flowed so wonderfully. I was so impressed, and I've done a few, so I know what to compare it against to see how marvelous everybody worked so well together. And I know this industry, and it's a lot of hard work for everybody, sound, makeup, everybody, the entire crew. But I think an eye-opening experience would be how smoothly this production went and how well everybody got along. Everybody would talk, and everything. All the moods were up moods and positive, good energy flow. So this whole production has been just a blessing, really. It's amazing to see.
Was his name Ronnie? Is it
Yeah,
Ronnie? That
yeah, Ronnie. I think it's Ronnie.
Ronnie. Yeah, he
Ronnie
was.
Boo.
It was bang, 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 and it was. He got things. I mean, everyone got things done, and I can't say enough about the Dimitri. Everyone, like you could just go down the list and be like A plus, A plus, A plus, A plus.
Yeah.
But Ronnie was really sort of bang, 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 bang to the script, and you need people like that to adhere to that because on any production, especially indie, it's next thing you know, you need to get through 12 scenes and in 8, 10, 12 hours, and it's been 8, 10, 12 hours, and you've only gone through 4. So that was really top tier. But a moment that really sticks out to me was with Andrew B, who is such a class act, and I learned so
Yes.
much from him. And we were shooting the parking garage scene, and that was kind of really the first time Alex and I were trying to fully flesh out the character of Barton, and I kept there was a lot of things kind of here, there, everywhere, and I wasn't grounded, and Andrew just stuck with me. Like I kept kind of flubbing on this or doing that because there's chunks of dialogue where I mean, I love you, Alex, but those chunks, you're just like, okay, these are like tongue twisters, some of them. But Andrew stuck with me, and he's like, don't worry, you got it. And when I finally nailed it and everything else, and I believe that's the takes. I think I nailed it maybe just a couple of times, probably once. But Andrew kind of turns to me and he says, "This is fun, isn't it, kid?" And it was one of those where it was like,
That's Andrew.
this is neat. Like, and he kind of was like, yeah, you got and it was. And when you do a scene, and that was one of those, you do a scene and kind of everyone kind of feels it, and it's like that organic process, and you're like, yeah, it's a natural high, and I'm looking for those dopamine pushes all the time. But it was that was one of those where, it was kind of, okay, we got this and we're going to do it and it's going to be fun.
I mean, I love I love hearing some of those stories, right? Like we're just it speaks a lot to the chemistry that's there. Like just knowing, even knowing how tight some of the days were and the schedules that you guys had, it's really really impressive to see how well like everyone just kind of came together in such a really 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 wonderful way.
We came to make everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's perfect. I think we came to make everything is a great place to end this. Thank you both so much for coming on here and telling your side of the story of how everything kind of came to life. It's been a really really wonderful chat. Anyone that's still watching this at this point, go back and watch and rewatch We Came to Wreck Everything, and then come back here and we'll rewatch We Came to Make Everything as well.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Keelan. Nice seeing you again, bud.
Yeah, good to see you, Mark. And it was a pleasure, Michael. Thank you very much.